before we start talking about 2121 planning, like to introduce ourselves. So if you want to go ahead, Marcela, take
Should I
the lead.
start?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Heather. I'm super excited for this. And I'm Marcela, for everyone who's watching. My Instagram handle is taken by Mistral. I can talk a bit about that. I'm originally from Florida. I currently live in Oregon, the Portland area specifically. And so my Instagram handle actually reflects that a little bit. Mistral is a northwesterly wind. I've gone from the southeast to the northwest. Um, yeah, what else? My 9 to 5, I'm a tech researcher. And yeah, I'm just really excited to do this.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, and I'll go into myself. I'm Heather Diaz. I'm 32. I'm from Houston, Texas. Like, and go Rockets, go Astros, go Texans. Well, kind of. And it's kind of known as like that to me, like this like concrete jungle, and it's really humid, hot, and like I grew
Yeah,
up like recreational sports. So that's like basketball, volleyball, all that fun and jazz, but because that has AC in it, we play inside. It's really hot outside, and we do.
yeah,
And I got into running, and that's I fell in love with that because of being outside, and I just love that aspect, and also that part of being an individual sport, and also that time period is when like Destiny's Child was kind of going through. And it's kind of from Houston. I was like, I'm an independent woman. I can go outside, I can run and be outside as long as I want, and not to come like out of sight when I come back. So I was like really loving that. And then I fell in love with the outdoor community for running. And I made some of the bestest friends from that. Like my friend Megan, Janelle, Jackie, we're still best friends to this day. And I love that part. And then I stuck with it, and then I moved around to San Antonio for a year, back to Houston, went to Austin for grad school. And then I went to San Francisco because I followed my career for marketing and advertising. And I just stuck to running because it's what I knew. Like I was very like this familiar. I didn't like think about hiking because I felt like kind of inaccessible in a sense because it felt like some sort of elite sport. And I was like, whatever, like I'll just stick my running and just go on my own. And that's how I
yeah.
kind of felt. And then I kind of fell into hiking like 2015 when I go into that, like why I got into hiking. So go into that. I got into hiking because like because then like Steven, my boyfriend, asked me to go to hike for our first date, and I was like, okay, but
Yeah,
I'll go on our second, like I'll just meet for coffee and then I'll go on a hike because I'm not familiar with hiking. And I was like, I'm not going to go in like some random place I've never been with this guy.
yeah.
Like, that's kind
Maybe
of
he's a
crazy.
creeper or something, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's like a
yeah,
creeper. But the cool thing about that was that he like saw that I was like I had this background of being a runner, and I, like being fit, like being like just working out. So he never questioned my ability. He supported me and he was educating me, and it was the coolest thing because he just kind of guided me and just knew that like, and and then I asked questions, he answered. But it was the greatest thing ever because I felt like a passion for the outdoors I always had. It just was there. I just didn't know you can like go and slow the walk and like just take a like just take your time. So it was the coolest thing ever. And then we ended up doing the PCT, and the craziest thing about that, I only had 3 backpacking trips in my life, and I ended up hiking like 2,300 miles, which was insane.
yeah,
But that kind of goes with doing research because I felt like as a newbie, even I felt like this is a new felt like a new life skill, and that's how I felt like what it was. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna practice and a lot of practice. I'm gonna do a lot of research. That's all I can do, and that's what you do for anything. You just gotta research heck out of it, learn about the gear, learn about the world, and then that's how I kind of got into it. It was kind of pretty cool. But that's about how I got into hiking. I don't know.
yeah. No, I was gonna say the how I got into hiking was actually pretty different. It was just kind of on a whim. So, right, like being from Florida, also from a tropical climate, it's the flattest state in the U.S. So, yeah, any rigorous hiking has to, it becomes rigorous because of the heat, not because of elevation or altitude, right? Growing up, most of what we did with my family outdoors, kind of like you were saying too, like sports was a big thing. Going to the beach was always kind of what,
Yeah.
like a great way that we always recreated outdoors, right? That And honestly, also just gardening. That's a whole separate thing. But I moved up north to, uh, I guess, the New England area, New York and New Jersey for college and grad school, where I met my partner. And honestly, we missed a lot of opportunities to go hiking. We didn't start hiking until grad school. He went to California, I was in New Jersey, and I don't know, I was visiting him one day and we were just like, we should try this hiking thing.
That's awesome.
Just kind of like that. Let's just try it out. And like you, like we did some research. We just did some research and I don't know, like we made a bunch of mistakes our first time. But that,
right.
yeah, yeah, we do a lot of things differently today.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Like it changes though, like, but it's all good. It's like all a learning curve.
Yeah, it totally was. And I think in a lot of ways, we were able to, you know, rely on each other for a lot of things. Because once you're out there, you kind of have to rely on the other person. So instead of really being kind of put off by all of the different problems we had, which we can talk about, you were just like, no, next time we're going to do this better. And just sleeping out, camping, hiking all day for a few days is super nice. So
Exactly.
we've been doing it for about 7 years.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, for my experience, I also missed out on hiking when I was here because I moved here in 2012, and then I started camping, I think, in 2014. You know, a friend reached out to this bucket list group and was like, we're all going to do one thing we've never done before, and that was like camping. And that was so cool being with a group of people that never has camped before, and then you felt really like normal, and I kind of had, you know, no idea what was going on. But it was kind of cool. So it was kind of cool having that experience. But then like having like Stephen, like that was the one having someone push me to keep going out. And that was so cool. But I missed out on 2 or 3 years. So if anyone has like who missed out on that, and don't be ashamed at all. Like don't
No.
like I mean, and I wasn't familiar with it. Like how else, like I mean, I just thought it was just some like elite group. Like I mean, I did not want to be involved. And then I realized that no, like I should. It's meant, like, you know, this is for everyone. And I guess we can go to like 21 planning and kind of like, you know, I guess one of the first takeaways I want to say that if you are thinking about like planning a trip, like a camping trip, even a day hike, but you know, backpacking trip, like put a date on it. Like I really recommend you doing that. And one of the biggest things that you should know is that a lot of campsites, you can book a campsite and even backpacking trip 6 months in advance. So today's that is the December 10th. That means you can book a trip through June 10th. And even the June 10th, you can book it for like a week. So if you go on the website, you can see that even like June 10th afterwards, it's all sold out. I was actually kind of upset because I'm having some troubles with Yosemite right now. But there's not everyone's treated the same, but check your permit dates. It's so important. Even for like backpacking, some of them are like a prime ones, like in the Sierra, like that just goes out. Like concert tickets, it's just like poof, like gone. And you're like, I really want to stay, but it's gone. But like I have to think about that, and so please, like you need to think about it. And even with the hotspot, like Sierra's hotspot, Yosemite hotspot, Big Sur, like you want that Big Sur trip, like put it like a calendar note and bookmark it because it's going to go out fast, like hotcakes, like concert tickets.
Not just that. So here in the Portland area, a huge hotspot or popular space is Multnomah Falls. It's like the place to go visit because it's like 30 minutes away from the city. And recently, because of COVID, there's a ticketing system to visit now, or at least there was for a while. They like bring it back, and either way, they're like limiting how many people can visit a day and how many people can visit at any given time. And it gets incredibly crowded. So again, like you were saying, it's really good to just have a plan. To have a schedule, sort of.
Yes, and they said even like I set a goal, if you pick 1 or 2 trips, that'd be good. And I think that for now, if you want to do that, or just even the hot ones, and the other one for Yosemite, I want to let you know that if they haven't done it like differently, I know like the things the 14th you can book for like mid-April to mid-May, and even that, like we book look at mid-April, it's going to be available soon. It's all sold out because people book their camping trips for 2 weeks, so half of those trips are gone. So you like it makes it really a lot more challenging to book something, and some people don't tell you these things too. I get really upset. I think they just want the camping spot to themselves, but like, look at that thing.
Yeah.
Get on top of that. But yeah, just that's another thing too. Like you'll be on top of those, be on top of those permit dates and those camping dates. But not all parks are like that. Some local,
Yeah, definitely not.
like I just booked one. I booked one at a nearby park. It was like El Diablo State Park, and they had them for February. So like, it was the first week
Oh,
of
okay.
COVID. Yeah, some parks are just closed too for right now for the winter season, also due to COVID. But I
Yeah.
booked one, and I just booked one, and it's the only thing I booked, just to let you guys know. And but
That's probably a good thing.
I know it's kind of funny though because I was like, I want to
Yeah.
plan all these trips, but I got like I've been getting so psyched, like just I had just been like getting overwhelmed. I'm like, well, this can happen, this can happen, but like, it's like I just thought with one trip for now, and then also birthday trips, like that's the thing too. You don't want to like,
Nice. Yeah.
but that happened. But have you like planned anything, Marcella?
So yeah, I don't know. I think we've been really hesitant, especially after this year, to plan anything. Um, like for me, I think one of the things I've learned about planning this based on this year is to be incredibly flexible, to have a plan B, a plan C sometimes, a plan D sometimes. That
Yeah,
plan D might be turn around and come
yeah.
back the next day. That's more for day trips, but because like especially recently, we've been taking a lot of day trips just because we don't want to travel too far, and we want to have that flexibility of, oh, this area is suddenly more restricted, or the weather here is really bad
Mhm.
because it rains here a lot, right? So having multiple plans or having contingency plans
Yes.
um, is has been kind of the main reason why we haven't really looked into booking anything. Um, we really wanted to go to Eastern Oregon this year for a multi-day camping trip.
Mhm.
Um, and so we might try to do that next year. And also with the winter coming, my partner and I were both into skiing, snowboarding, so um,
That's a lot of
that's
fun.
something that should be really fun. Like we already checked them. There is already, I don't know, several feet of snow on the mountain and stuff like that. So
That's
um,
awesome. And I guess like other
that's
fun
something
things
where,
is like regarding there are actually many things I want to like you know further talk about with that. The one thing is that they're having the BCD plan. Like please do have that because a lot of these places are now getting filled up quickly.
yeah,
And sometimes the
yeah,
parking lot gets full, like, and you can get turned around. So it's really important to like have that or just get there early.
yep,
I've been like, getting them early. I'm an early bird, like getting there crack of dawn when it opens. But
yeah,
if you are not like a early bird and you plan to get there later, just even getting early. Like I know you had a story recently.
yeah.
Um,
We like exactly what you were saying. We showed up, and it was Thanksgiving Day, so I mean, it was, and also near the Multnomah Falls area, which is very popular. I think just a lot of people wanted to go out. It was actually a pretty nice day. Like it wasn't sunny, but it was Pacific Northwest nice. Um, and so, yeah, we showed up pretty early. I mean, around 8 a.m. and the parking lot was full. So we actually had to drive a few loops.
mhm,
We know that a lot of people go there mostly for taking pictures and just kind of walking around the base area, and not like a fuller, longer hike up around that area.
mhm,
So waiting it out really helped. We found a parking spot. Everyone was being pretty courteous about
mhm.
masks and stuff like that, but it was, we
Yeah.
were this close to turning around and saying maybe tomorrow. So,
Yeah. And
um,
yeah, it can happen, and but that's not the part too with like, other takeaway besides, like, trying to put a date on it as soon as you can, especially for this bigger trips, so the bigger destinations you want to having a plan B, C, D. is another one is always do your research. That is so important. Like, it's extremely important, especially now.
Yeah.
And that's just not doing research like on an app. Like an app is great. I like it, but like even like traps like all trails to me, it's like I view as like a Yelp,
Eh,
like Wikipedia.
yeah.
It's hybrid.
Yeah.
You get user reviews. It could be biased, but then it's like Wikipedia because it's all user generated. And this is
Hmm.
stuff. This is not stuff. The content that is provided by the specific agency park. It's not. Please
Yeah.
remember that. Like, so things are updated, but it's like it's not regulated by the people that are running it. So it's really
Yeah.
important to cross-check your information because things are changing all the time. Like even this place nearby, because of the new COVID, like we're in a different like the county is issuing its own
Hmm.
restrictions. This place nearby, it closes at 4 p.m. So like if you
Wow.
don't, so yeah, it's because it's for sunset because people like they go watch a sunset, they hang around.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you don't know that you're gonna plan to go, then you can't go. But that's one part of the research, like knowing like the hours closed, checking the entrances, see that the entrances are open or closed. There's like so much, but please cross check your information.
Yeah.
That's other
So
important.
it's yeah, I used to only look at all trails, and even that's pretty recent. Most of the time, like national parks have really good like trail maps and trail guides. They'll give an estimated difficulty and distance and all these things, right? And how long it should take you if you're going. I can never really know, like, okay, if I'm gonna take 1,000 pictures, like,
Oh,
is
yeah,
it really
right.
gonna take me 2 hours? But yeah, like you were saying, I totally agree. Like cross-checking the what's it called? The U.S. Forest Service and USDA pages for national forests, which we go to a lot because we have dogs, and dogs aren't allowed in a lot of national parks. So it's important for us to have these other options. Um, so yeah, we always check there because something else that I found recently is that all trails and these kinds of apps don't always reflect the closure situation. If a trail is closed or if like a specific portion of the trail is closed, but the trailhead leads to other trails and so it is open. Um, so yeah, I can't emphasize enough. I totally agree. Like doing research, it takes time. It's not necessarily the most fun part of the travel, but it's absolutely necessary, especially during COVID.
And it helps you make you like set up for success. And it's how I think about it. Anything
Yeah.
like think of any other life skill, anything you do, you plan, you prepare, and you do your research. And if you really want this trip to happen, you gotta like, check every single item in your checklist. You just gotta cross it out because like, if you want this to happen and be successful, you will. And there's gonna be lots of road bumps. Even cancellations, just be prepared for that. I was going to say that with playing the A, B, C, D, E, playing all those. And that can be related to
Yeah.
even the seasonals. Like, that's something that I would, whether it's COVID seasons, whether it's snow, whether it's the
Yeah.
fires, like, that's something that you have to be prepared for that this can
Yeah.
all happen. Like, everything happened last year. I couldn't even imagine, couldn't even, like believe my eyes. Like, everything that you could think of happened.
Yeah. I mean, we like just to give a quick anecdote, like we had a camping trip planned in September around Labor Day, and Oregon was on fire, pretty much all of Oregon, which is horrible, but we weren't going to go camping. Um, I mean, for several reasons, but I mean, we didn't cancel our trip until 2 or 3 days before because we wanted to wait out the situation and see if it was going to get better. So just, yeah, be prepared to
Be
keep
prepared.
on making these sort of short-term decisions.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's another thing, like we talked about earlier, is that because of all these restrictions and everything's closing, opening, you don't know what's going to happen with your trips, I recommend like planning locally because I think
Yeah.
that's the one thing I feel most secure about planning because I know my county's restrictions. I know the neighboring counties, like, because I live, live in the Bay Area, but, also the Santa Cruz, like I'm very familiar with that. Like I feel very comfortable booking that. And also, like, and I also, there's no shame booking like locally either. I
No,
know
absolutely not.
like December
Yeah.
seems like very like, very some of them very attainable. Utah, going to Zion or Bryce Canyon, but like this could be seen as a time just to kind of learn your backyard, and that's something I took away from like this past year. And
Definitely,
I
yeah.
got to know so many cool places, and was so much fun, and I got to like study I read the brochures, I got to know the land and the history, and it was such a cool
Hmm.
made me appreciate where I live. So that's probably again other tip I would want to give you is that if look where you live in your county, maybe like if you're a small state, like on the state, like don't just try to aim like really big because that might just get you never know what's gonna happen. So if you
Yeah.
do something nearby, like you're probably more guaranteed to make it happen.
Yeah. And even in a big state like Oregon, I mean, driving to Eastern Oregon, you can drive 6 hours, 7 hours, and you're still in the same state. Um, but because the different areas are so far apart, like the COVID restrictions might be different. Um, that's in one direction. But living
Yeah.
near Portland, right, we're very close to Washington State.
Mhm.
So, I mean, is that considered local? Like we consider that local because it's within an
Mhm.
hour. Um, but yeah, I think keeping all of that in mind
Yeah,
has probably been like the crux of planning for this year, next year, maybe,
exactly.
yeah.
But it makes it more like doable. I feel like because we book spots nearby, and I felt like it was way more accessible because everything was like an hour, less than an hour away or hour and a half, and we had a lot more fun. So like so I would definitely recommend that. And then also you don't like when you're planning, I you mentioned this before, you don't have to think about just camping and backpacking. You can do Airbnb
You
too.
could do an Airbnb, especially if you're trying to feel out an aspect of traveling. We found have booking an Airbnb near a lot of trails um, can make a trip so much more like it just removes a lot of the overhead. You still need to plan the whole trip, but you don't have to worry about uh, is there going to be showers in the campsite? Is there going to be bears in the campsite?
Yeah.
Um, what is the fire situation where I'm
Yeah.
going? A lot of that extra stuff you have to worry about just kind of
Yeah.
goes away.
Yeah.
Um, or
Again, like
even just, oh, sorry.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even, I mean, for us, our recent kind of Airbnb in the mountains trip was more about figuring out how traveling with our dog works with our new dog.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect because
Yeah.
camping with dogs brings a whole other level of things you have to be aware of. Um, so there are a lot of options, but I think the staying local and you know taking it slowly is a great way to kind of get into hiking trips. And we were still out there for a few days, but it was also sometimes just nice to get back, take a hot shower,
Yeah.
cook a nice meal in front of a
And
fireplace.
it wasn't wrong
um,
with that at all.
right.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just as outdoorsy as camping, backpacking for a whole week. So, um,
Yes. Exactly. You're just redefining like what your sense of outdoorsy is and whatever that looks like to you. So I think it's awesome. And I love how you said that that by doing the Airbnb, it makes you not think about the wildlife because like I had my stories recently, and even that camping trip I booked in February, like I was reading the reviews that there was like aggressive raccoons. So I was like, let me read that right. Aggressive raccoons that they can go through your bear boxes. Like so there's like places that can like protect you from wildlife and they still break through. I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like, do I really want
yeah.
to be here? And like, but I know that's something like reading reviews, like doing your research, you read that, so you'd be like, maybe I'll book the Airbnb instead. Maybe camping's not that option. Sometimes that would happen.
Yeah.
And I just googled that, and I just googled the campsites, and there was like multiple different campsites. I was trying to figure out which is the best one. Both of them are rated by raccoons. I'm really aggressive raccoons. So it's just like it's
That should be like a
like, and the wildlife can be really like aggressive. Like I've had my encounters before, but it just depends like
oh
what is your
really?
goal with this trip,
Oof.
and maybe something like simple want to get into it, then yeah, Airbnb is fine. Just kind of get your your toes wet in the water, or even if your experience doesn't matter, it's just nice to have
Yeah,
like, that shower and stuff like that.
yeah. And I mean, part of it too, especially now that we're heading into fall, winter, in the more northern latitudes, um, having a, a roof over, like a proper roof over your head when you're traveling can be really nice too. Um, Especially if you get cold outside and
Yeah.
you want to have a place where you can warm up and
Mm,
all that, and not worry about can I light a fire because it's too wet outside.
yeah,
Um,
that's true.
that's another thing.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Another thing too is in California, there's so many fire like restrictions that I never like experienced this because I never camped so much, but a lot of times you can't even have fires. Like, all you have is a stovetop fire. So you wouldn't know that and unless you did your research. And I even like so it's like it's crazy because you can't even do a campfire. You have to have a
yeah.
stove. And it's like so it's kind of bad. It's kind of nice to be at like a place in Airbnb and have all those luxuries.
That was honestly like like our very first camping trip slash backpacking trip slash hiking trip. It was all in one. Um, that was like exactly what one of the things that we did wrong. We didn't have a stove. We're like, oh, we can probably buy like charcoal somewhere on the way and do something in the fire ring. And then there wasn't a fire ring in the campsite, and we had to
Oh,
eat our food cold. It was fine. We still had food, right? But um,
it's funny.
it was in California, so
Yes,
that
of
just
course.
reminded me of that. Um,
Not surprises in California.
yeah.
California's restrictions. There's so many restrictions over there. Just if you ever enter this area, you have to do your research. Like
Yeah.
it would price that push, like, and then also if anyone's listening, that but particularly if you're getting to like start getting outside like that, like for like the camping, or even hiking, I would like really research the state parks because a lot of times they're I want to say this really nicely, but like they're not as, properly funded. So a lot of times they're like, campsites like bare bones campsites, raccoons and stuff like that. Nothing special. There's so just like if you really want like a I guess a more, ideal situation, just like you keep an eye out for do your research and maybe like keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's really a whole spectrum of
Mhm.
campsites, right? Like
Mhm.
there's campsites that have great RV hookups and
Yeah.
they'll actually, let you charge your phone, which is
Oh
something we
yeah.
discovered last year. Or like you're saying, you can have the more primitive campsites, which
Yeah,
don't have
exactly.
any kind of electricity or water.
Yeah.
Um, I learned about yurts a few years ago, which I
Yeah.
didn't know what that was, um, which is sort of like a little hut, if you don't know what that is. And so that's like a nice kind of middle ground between a tent and an actual cabin. Um, a lot of state parks in Oregon have yurts.
You're
I
lucky.
think yeah, I think they even
You
have
know,
bunk beds, which is a lot. That's like very high luxury for me.
everything,
um,
everything here is
but
like primitive for campsites in California state parks. I never like it's just yeah bare bones, nothing special about it. Like I haven't seen any hookups. Maybe like Big Sur down there, but no, I haven't seen any. But it's actually not so bad though. Even though I've been talking kind of smack about the parks, it's the state parks in California. But the cool thing about it is that you actually meet really awesome, amazing people who just love to camp and just love to be
aw,
outside because they don't care about the RV hookups. So like even though like that, like I always end up meeting the most genuine people out there. So that's one benefit of going that route.
yeah. I don't. I'm trying to think. We don't. I mean, we kind of keep to ourselves, to be honest,
I talk
a
to
lot of the
everybody
time.
there.
Um, but whenever we have interacted with other people, they've usually been just very helpful, trying to help us light a fire. um, I can think of several instances where we were struggling, and this was a few years ago. We were camping with friends, and the campsite neighbor was like, "You guys are struggling to light your fire. Have this like fire starter thingy that I make." And ever since, like we've been able to follow their lead and see that. But should we kind of start wrapping up?
Yeah, yeah, wrapping up. So like so thank you for all who's here, and what we wanted to recap what we talked over. So the biggest things for the recap is one, if you have a date in mind, if you're just thinking about planning, like put a date on it, at least do 1 or 2 trips, and start looking at the permit dates now, because a lot of times you can book things out as far as 6 months in advance. So today's December 10th. That means you can book for
June.
June
Yeah.
10th. So look out for that. It's really important. And then we're gonna go second takeaway. Or,
Yeah, sure. I mean, actually, I wanted to add some things here first, if that's okay. Is not just look at the permit dates, but also look at school holidays, federal holidays, US holidays, because those will, despite COVID, I think they're still the most popular travel times. So if you have flexibility in your work schedule or your school schedule, whatever is going on, you know, trying to think about going during off-peak times might help you stay safe, might increase your probability of finding a spot, stuff like that, and or have that as a backup plan. So yeah, but essentially, I've good segue into the kind of second main takeaway we wanted to really emphasize today, which is have backup plans. Your plan B might not work after your plan A fails. Your plan C might not work, right? So, and just keep your options open. Everyone's in the same boat, right? Of trying to figure out how to stay safe, how to have a good time, find a beautiful place to go. But there's so many local places you can go that if you stay local, it's a lot easier to switch plans on a short notice.
Exactly, I agree with you. Yeah, so stay local if you can. It's not like that's a more easier with the restrictions too, so you feel more confident, more accountable to do it. And that's what we did, and we were able to do almost every single camping trip, because we booked something within within an hour to hour and a half away, and it was actually a lot of fun. We just did one-nighters. You would do like a whole week. You can just do one night, and that's what we did for the one in the East Bay. Just one night, simple. Just get a little like our feelers out, so we can feel like we're sleeping outside for a day. You can one day, one night, it's okay. And then also segues to another takeaway. A third one is do your research. It's really important. Cross check your information. Just don't rely on the app. Verify with the website. There's different county restrictions, could be different region restrictions. It's just like there's so much going on. So always verifying, things are always changing. Even like the hours are changing. And I was gonna post up like a COVID proof checklist, just so you can just
that'd be nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna post it up soon, so please check on that. So no matter what, you can always just follow this to make sure you kind of know what's going on, but everything's changing. Depending on the agency too, the park agency, just do your research, and even the day before.
And honestly, navigating park agencies, what is a state park? What is a national forest in a state? What is a national park? What is a local park? Can be pretty, it took me a while to be able to understand what is where, and what options exist everywhere. So I think part of what can seem overwhelming if you're just kind of browsing is that there are so many options.
So many options. There's so many things you can do. So even though it might seem things are limited, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. So should we open it up for questions at this point?
If anyone have any questions?
I can't see comments. If people have been commenting and trying to ask me something, I'm super sorry. Because I can't, it's not showing up for me today.
I can't see any questions. So if anyone have any questions, please ask. I just seen people that joined. I haven't seen any questions.
There might also be like a little question box to pop a question up on your end.
Yes. Let me see.
Or if not, just in the comments.
No. Nope. I haven't seen any questions. So I have no questions. Well, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment.
Yeah, you can always send us a DM for any question. And because this is the first time, you know, you can ask us more about our background,
Mhm.
what gear we use, more about how we got started, that, you know, have hiking as women, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of what we're here to talk about too. So,
exactly. Exactly.
um, please fire away. Um,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for everyone who joined us today. We hope you had some takeaways here and feel a little bit more, a little bit more prepared for next year. And even if it's kind of like somewhat, some like some sort of confidence, which is, I hope you have some, like at least gain some. And for me, it's like I have like said I have one trip booked, and I have one that I'm going to plan for backpacking that I have to get on top of that in a few days. So like that's all I have. I'm still keeping the rest in my back pocket because everything else is not anything immediate to book except for that Yosemite trip. Like I have to be on top of that. Like I think
yeah,
it's December 14th.
yeah.
Okay, what's the question? Okay. What's the biggest lesson you learned from spending time in the outdoors?
Ooh, do you want to go first or should I?
Yes. Um, the biggest lesson, well, the biggest lesson I learned is with hiking is that like is slowing down in life because I was always I thought I spent time outside, but I was like running. But I felt like I was just kind of chasing something or trying to run away from something. And then when I actually like spent quality time outside, like I felt like a new person. Like I felt like there was a new aspect of this I never learned about, and I felt like inner peace, and I felt like also a life lesson of just like slowing down in general with life because I feel like I'm always on the go. Like as you can tell, I'm like talking like no, I'm like but it allows me to
Yeah,
never slow down, be like reflect on everything, reflect on everything that the week, the month. It makes me like account my I have a gratitude list. I think about everything I'm thankful for. But like so the biggest lesson I learned from spending time outside is allow me to to slow down, slowing down, appreciating the outdoors, and everything around me. So it was filled me with gratitude. So I couldn't be more thankful than that. How about you?
yeah. I can totally relate to that. The slowing down aspect. I mean, it is why I make it a point to spend time outside. And even now that it's raining, sometimes walking in the rain can be so incredibly relaxing. The biggest the biggest lesson I've learned from spending time outside has probably been um, just an appreciation and respect for the beauty of this planet. And this sounds very philosophical and cheesy, but I really do feel that way. Um, it's humbling. I think that's really just what it is. I so many times just stop to look at trees, you know,
Mhm.
the ground, the sky, the waterfall, the river, and it humbles me. I think that's one of the things that I've taken away from um, being out in nature. Nature is so resilient,
Mhm.
and um, it, it it inspires me. It humbles. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And it's nice to take that back into your real life or your work life. It's all your real life,
Yes.
um, and to like, approach life with that kind of mindset of, oh, I'm part of this bigger thing.
Yeah.
It's not always just about me.
Exactly.
Um, and like you're saying, also having this gratitude, having the gratitude uh, for being able to experience these things
Mhm. It's been just a
is,
fulfilling. I think part of that too is that I feel like sometimes I feel it more than others, and I'm sure with your gratitude for the nature is because we both aren't from where we live. Like Texas is full of like it's such a concrete jungle. We have our city parks, but like it's why when I'm always out there, I'm always amazed and just like I'm in love. Like I can hug a redwood tree a million times. I never have this. I was like, can I hug you forever? You're always here. But like, and that's something that
yeah,
I've always had, and I just can't stop like being filled with gratitude when I'm out there.
yeah, yeah. I guess another thing, it's less of a lesson and more just a realization I've had.
Yeah,
And we can move on to other questions too if
yeah,
we have
yeah.
others.
Oh yeah, somebody has any
Um,
questions, please ask away.
but a realization I've had is just it's helped me reflect upon why I enjoy nature so much. And I do think some of it is just what I've learned from my family. So on my mom's side, my grandpa and my mom were both very avid gardeners. And they talk to their plants and they give their plants names and all these kinds of things, which to me, I think planted this seed that, nature is more than just the green stuff that's out there. It's life as well. And so to me, the realization I've had in part is like, it connects me to my family and my background and stuff like that too. So, yeah, but if there's,
any questions, we can like wrap this up. And give some time someone to type up a question and we can.
It can be tough. I mean.
Yeah, we can stop. Okay. Well, thanks for everyone who joined. I'm gonna this video will be saved so you can view this video to entirety afterwards. But please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We're always here to help out.
And we're hoping to be back next week. I guess we need to finalize the topic, but
but if you have any topic suggestions, let us know. And the last thing I always love to say, I did it we were doing like our blog series with PCT is always last thing, never forget, leave no trace behind and leave it better than you found it.
Yep. That's a good thing to say.
Yes.
It's really important.
I always end that with every single video when I was blogging on PCT.
Nice.
But yes, so remember, so we'll see you next week. Leave no trace behind and leave it better than you found it.